Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm going to be testing Kingdom Come Deliverance on the ROG Ally thanks to Deep Silver proprietary code of the game, so 1080p, basically no HD textures, thank you very much. On the advanced graphics we're using basically high settings with medium physics. Again, this is like vegetation detail on very high. Maximum draw distance. This is to have the best visual fidelity while plugged into the wall. We're going to try 60s, don't worry. First of all, we have a quality mode, because in my opinion this game is all about the visuals and immersion. So remember guys, this is a native 1080p. This kind of blows my mind actually. But the issue with this game mostly, I would say, is the CPU performance. The CPU performance, especially in towns with a good amount of NPCs, can be quite poor, but we have 8 cores and 16 threads on the ROG Ally, so it shouldn't be a huge problem. But as you can see, when you turn the camera very quickly and look at more complex scenes, the frame times are a bit inconsistent, quite a bit actually. So I think, again, for visuals, quality over performance, this is the best configuration. Looks amazing, especially on the smaller screen. Just make sure your refresh rate is set to 120. But it looks amazing. Sorry about the screen tearing, it's the capture card. But this is a very light scenario, so I think it's time to show you one of the cities, so you can see how the CPU suffers drawing all that stuff in. So now for the stress test, we're on horseback while it's raining, while we are on a city with more geometric complexity. So let's go full force forward with the horse. And as you can see, we drop as low as 30 FPS, which again, considering the town we're at, this should be as close to as bad as it gets. Should be close, not 100% perfect. But again, this is more of a slower paced game, and I think considering the visuals, this is the best way. Native resolution, good enough draw distance, and that's basically it. So if you're after quality and full immersion, in my opinion, this is the way to go. Again, I'm doing almost the worst case scenario for you to see. So now let's do something else. We gotta try and target 60 FPS, so let's go there. Alright, so now we're targeting at least 60 FPS when we're not moving around super quickly. So 720p to 1080p. This is a great feature that I like about this game, is that it's rendering the screen at 1080p, so the UI looks super sharp. But the internal resolution is 720p. Then on the advanced graphics I have to do quite a bit of fiddling. So SMA 2TX, medium object for CPU performance, physics on low, really not a big deal. Basically medium settings with some stuff on high. And we drop the draw distances to 50%. Again, we're trying to get a much higher frame rate. And on the smaller screen, that 720p upscaled to 1080p, I mean, it looks fine, at least in my opinion. Again, we're playing on a 7-inch screen, but the benefit is that we're rendering all the UI elements, all the important stuff at 1080p, but the game itself, the 3D stuff, is at 720p, which on a bigger screen that I'm doing right now is super obvious. I mean, you can notice that it's a lower resolution, less sharp. But it really improves the performance quite significantly, as you can see. And we're inside the VRR window, at least when walking around. And sorry again about the screen tearing, you won't see this in real life. This is my capture card doing its job, trying to show you what's going on. But on the ROG Ally itself, you won't see any tearing. It's super smooth actually. Welcome back to the kinda worst case scenario. 720p, lowered draw distance, so there's more pop in. Let's go full speed with our horse. And as you can see, we're dropping into the 40s. So yeah, you might say, oh man, that's pretty awful, blah 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 blah. In a way you're right, but at the same time not so much, because we're actually just running around with a horse on the city. So this is kind of as bad as it gets, so to say. Oh, sorry about that. Come on, horse, through the door. Whatever, let's go on foot. So as I was saying, usually very fast horse rides through towns as big as this one, with multiple NPCs, is going to suffer, drop into the 40s, but you're still very close to the VRR window. And on the smaller screen, 720p is fine, but you get 1080p UI, so I think that's the best of both worlds. And you get a pretty good experience, actually, in my opinion at least. So I think it's time to jump into handheld. This is at 30 watts. On handheld, we're probably going to target 20 watts. That is going to affect performance. Doinks. So let's get into that right away before I die here.
Bring it on.
But as you can see, even when getting hit in the city, I'm sorry about the terrible combat. Haven't played this game in a while. It's when it's... I mean, it suffers a bit, but we're good to go. Doinks. Welcome back, we're now at 20 watts. On settings, we are on 1080p once again. I know it's hard to read, let me zoom in a little bit. Alright, it's zoomed in so you can see the graphics, 1080p. Advanced graphics, basically high settings with medium physics and all the level of detail stuff, the draw distance on the highest. And that's basically it. Welcome to Come Deliverance at 20 watts. Again, 10 watts less than before, but we're actually, how to say this? We're actually playing portable now. This is the quality preset, as I would call it. I would even actually drop it to 18 watts. I think for battery life, this should be good enough. So 18 watts on the APU. We're targeting 30 FPS for maximum immersion. As you can see, there's no tearing on the smart screen. There are still drops in the frame rate when we are turning around very quickly. The alternative to this is dropping it to 900p. There is an upscaled 900p option, which renders the game at 900p, upscales it to 1080p, and the UI stays the same, basically. That's also an option. You know what? Let's do it as well. So 900p to 1080p, that's basically what this resolution is called. And the game now renders at 900p and upscales to 1080p using whatever upscaler CryEngine has. And it looks great still on the smaller screen. And when it comes to battery life, 1.5 hours of battery at 18 watts. And the game looks amazing on the smart screen. So let's get to the demanding stuff as I was talking before. Welcome back, we are now in a bigger city with the horse at Mach 5 speed. And despite being 18 watts, it's still in the low 30s, upper 20s in the worst case scenario. Again, I'm streaming lots of data at once, lots of geometry. Whoa. And the horse is going at full speed. What? I hit my head with the roof. I never saw that in this game. What the hell? That's awesome. That's cool AF. How did I never run into that? And now the ROG Ally is actually having a lot of noise. But again, we're talking about around maybe 90 minutes of battery with a full charge, of course, at 18 watts on the APU. So yep. Again, this is for visuals. In my opinion, this is the best way to play the game. Very immersive on the smaller screen at 900p with the 1080p upscaled UI. Looks pretty good. The UI is a little small though, which in my opinion is kind of a big issue. I wish we could scale the UI as well. If there's a way or a mod, please let me know. That would be nice. Alright, so now we're talking in 60s. As before, 720p with a 1080p UI, so it looks nice and sharp. The UI, I mean. Then on the settings, I had to sacrifice them quite significantly. Basically a mix between medium and low when it comes to CPU intensive options. And the draw distance is like at 30%, something like that, all the sliders. And remember that we are at 18 watts, so it's like an hour and a half of battery when this is at full throttle, to say it in some way. You can also go for 20 watts if you don't mind much about battery life. You get like 15 minutes less, maybe. But inside the town, we're actually pretty good at 720 with, again, lowered settings. So if you'd rather have a higher frame rate, this is a good way to do it. It's not perfect 60s, but it stays well within the VRR window, at least when walking around in towns. I steal this in front of them, so they chase me. Ah! Alright, back to the city. Let's start the engines, full force on the horse, hahaha. Okay, it drops into the 40s. Not bad at all, actually. I was expecting way worse than this. And probably some upper 30s drops as well. Let's hit our head with the... Oh, that didn't work. Doinks. Never gets old. And well, what to say? 60s is also an option. You gotta sacrifice the resolution, but personally I don't think it's a big deal. It's a 7-inch screen. The UI is super sharp on 1080p. And you actually get still good visuals. In my opinion, high makes more sense on a slower paced game like this. It's all about the visuals. Here we lose mostly draw distance and terrain detail. But it's super smooth even in the city. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, that's what 8 cores, 16 threads nets you in a game like this. Lots of benefits. And the UI is very small. So would I recommend this on the ROG Ally? Definitely. It works fantastically well. Even on the cities, going with the horse at full speed. It's kinda crazy. Doinks. Reduce 2 atoms. Dead. So you have options here. Either smooth frame rate or 30-ish FPS with way better visuals, in my opinion. Okay, they don't care I'm killing their friends. So yeah, even on combat we seem to be good. Come on, try. Try me, bro. So yeah, again, would I recommend this? Of course. It's way better than I anticipated. After playing this on Steam Deck, I thought the ROG Ally wasn't going to be very different, but I was wrong. This runs amazing in comparison to Steam Deck, obviously, but I think the CPU is the big differentiating factor in this game. This game really does take advantage of multiple cores. So great use of the CryEngine, at least in my opinion. So thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, thanks to Deep Silver for providing a code of the game. And I'll see ya next time. Bye guys, thanks for watching.